Welcome to Section 6. In this section, we cover three topics that bring consolidation to life: how to translate the financial statements of a foreign subsidiary into the parent's reporting currency, what happens when the parent loses control of a subsidiary and must deconsolidate it, and two worked examples that pull together the mechanics from previous sections. By the end of this section, you will be able to apply the current rate translation method for a foreign subsidiary whose functional currency is its local currency. You will understand when the remeasurement method applies and what makes it different. You will be able to identify the three events that trigger deconsolidation, record the 5-step deconsolidation journal entry, including CTA reclassification, and work through consolidation mechanics in practical examples. When a foreign subsidiary is consolidated, its financial statements are denominated in a currency different from the parent's reporting currency. Before they can be combined, they must be translated. The choice of translation method depends on a critical determination. What is the subsidiary's functional currency? The functional currency is the currency of the primary economic environment in which the entity operates, where it earns revenue and incurs costs. If the subsidiary operates in its local currency, the current rate method applies. If it operates primarily in US dollars, perhaps because it is an extension of the parent's operations, the remeasurement method applies. Under the current rate method, the translation rules follow a consistent logic. Balance sheet items, assets and liabilities, are translated at the exchange rate in effect at the end of the reporting period, the closing rate. Income statement items use the average rate for the period, which approximates the rates that would have been used if each transaction were translated individually. Equity components are translated at historical rates, the rates that were in effect when the equity was originally contributed or retained earnings were accumulated. Because these three rates almost always differ, a balancing amount arises. That amount, the cumulative translation adjustment, goes into other comprehensive income. The cumulative translation adjustment is the balancing amount that makes the translated balance sheet balance. It accumulates in other comprehensive income for as long as the subsidiary is consolidated. It represents the group's net exposure to movements in the exchange rate between the subsidiary's functional currency and the parent's reporting currency. It is not income. It is not a gain or a loss that has been realized. It stays in OCI, invisible to the income statement, until the day the subsidiary is sold or deconsolidated. At that point, and only at that point, the accumulated CTA is reclassified from OCI into the income statement as part of the gain or loss on disposal. This is a critical step, and one we will see again in the deconsolidation section. When a foreign subsidiary operates primarily in US dollars, because its pricing, contracts, and financing are all in US dollars, the subsidiary is essentially an extension of the parent's operations. The remeasurement method applies. The mechanics are different from the current rate method. Monetary items like cash, receivables, and payables are remeasured at the closing rate. Non-monetary items like inventory and fixed assets are remeasured at the historical rates that were in effect when the assets were acquired. Here is the key difference from the current rate method. Remeasurement gains and losses flow directly through the income statement. There is no OCI buffer. Exchange rate movements on this type of subsidiary hit earnings immediately. Deconsolidation is the mirror image of consolidation. It happens when the parent loses its controlling financial interest in a subsidiary, and three events can cause it. First, a partial sale that reduces the parent's ownership below the control threshold. Second, the subsidiary issues new shares to third parties, diluting the parent below the majority. Third, for VIE subsidiaries, a change in facts that means the party no longer qualifies as the primary beneficiary. The moment control is lost, the subsidiary is removed from the consolidated financial statements, and the accounting is more complex than simply reversing the consolidation entry. When control is lost, The deconsolidation follows a five-step process. First, remove every asset and liability of the former subsidiary from the consolidated balance sheet. Second, remove the NCI balance that related to that subsidiary from equity. Third, if the parent retains any ownership interest, say, a 30% stake after selling down from 80%, that retained interest is recognized at its fair value on the date control was lost, not at its previous carrying amount. Fourth, any cumulative translation adjustment that has been accumulating in OCI for that subsidiary is reclassified into the income statement. This is the moment the CTA is realized. The fifth step is the gain or loss calculation. Take the proceeds received plus the fair value of any retained interest, what the parent got out of the transaction. Subtract the carrying amount of the subsidiary's net assets at the date control was lost. Subtract the NCI balance that was removed from equity. Add back the CTA that was reclassified from OCI. The resulting number is the gain or loss on deconsolidation, recognized in the income statement on the date control is lost. This calculation can produce significant gains or losses, particularly when the retained interest is measured at a fair value that differs substantially from the prior carrying amount. Let's work through a complete example. Parent owns 80% of subsidiary X, and the subsidiary reports net income of $500,000. The parent sold $200,000 of goods to the subsidiary this year, and $50,000 of profit is still sitting in the subsidiary's ending inventory. Start with the income allocation. Parent gets 80% of $500,000, which is $400,000. But $40,000 of that income, the parent's 80% share of the $50,000 unrealized inventory profit, needs to be eliminated. Consolidated net income attributable to the parent is $360,000. The intercompany sale itself is also eliminated. Revenue reduced $200,000. COGS reduced $200,000. And inventory is reduced by $50,000 to defer the unrealized profit. The second example is the VIE primary beneficiary determination we previewed in Section 3. A real estate special purpose entity has thin equity, just 5% owned by Party A, but Party A also provided a $10 million subordinated loan, making it the first to absorb losses. Party A has the contractual right to appoint the property manager and approve all leasing decisions, the activities that most significantly affect the property's economic performance. Power, check. Significant economic exposure through the subordinated loan, check. Party A meets both conditions of the primary beneficiary test and must consolidate the SPE despite owning only 5% of the equity. To recap this section, foreign subsidiary translation follows the current rate method when the local currency is the functional currency. CTA goes to OCI. It follows remeasurement when the US dollar is the functional currency. Gains and losses go through the income statement. Deconsolidation occurs when control is lost, and it requires removing all subsidiary assets and liabilities, removing NCI, recognizing any retained interest at fair value, and reclassifying accumulated CTA from OCI to the income statement. The gain or loss combines all of these elements. In the next section, we cover how the consolidated group's financial statements must be presented and disclosed, and how the U.S. GAAP framework compares to IFRS. Thank you for completing this section on foreign operations, deconsolidation, and worked examples. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more training from PNJ Group.